Ladies and gentlemen, Violent Games here. Today I'm going to be talking about stealth in Horizon Zero Dawn. How you can implement stealth to best help you in games and shit. And I'm going to be giving you both rudimentary tips and, expert tips as well. I don't know if you could call it an expert. I'm far from a fucking expert, okay? Look, I'm far from an expert. But we're going to see what we can do. So let's go over the rudimentary shit. Bushes are very great, especially early game. You're pretty much 100% invisible in them. There are very few enemies who will be able to detect you once you're in a bush if they do not see you enter. Now, there are a variety of ways to enter bushes effectively without compromising your stealth, but also being very fast at the same time, especially if you have the silent running perk. So, easiest way, first of all, is to sprint, then slide in. That's a great way. When your enemies aren't looking, this is very safe to do, even at lower levels if you're far enough away from the enemy. Helps a lot. Now, there is a better way to actually do this slide maneuver and also add additional functionality to it. So, for example, you're sprinting, you can slide right when you start to lose momentum during that slide. You can press circle to get an additional leap in there. This is a very easy, manipulatable move that'll help you get in and out of combat as you see fit. So I'm going to jump in this bush right here. The scrapper's hunting me. Get in the bush, get the kill. Pretty great, He didn't see me at all because during that entirety of that slide and roll, these are considered stealth actions, meaning you get the stealth modifier bonus from actually doing them. So the same modifier you get from doing this is the same modifier you get while you're sliding and while you're doing this little leap. Though keep in mind that at the end of this little leap when you're doing the roll, it does make a bit of noise. So don't expect to be point blank with your enemy and land that roll and not get their attention. However, the slide is 100% silent from when you hit the ground from the entire duration of the slide. As you saw, the scrapper was digging into the ground. His line of sight barely saw me, but because that slide was a silent action, he was still in the detection phase. This allowed me to get the executable kill. So later in the game, especially when you have the silent running perk, because this is going to allow you to break a comfortable distance so that you can slide in for the kill, you're going to want to approach the enemy, see them, then slide to them, get a decent distance, and right when you see that R1 prompt come up, you can get an executable for the critical spear attack. Now, the critical spear attack isn't useful against all enemies. It's more for human enemies and for the basic enemies like the ones we just fought earlier. You'll be able to distinguish the nuance between the two as you play the game, but just because the critical strike is more effective against the little enemies does not mean it's completely useless against the tougher enemies in the game. It can be kind of useful against crocodiles if you circle them a lot. It can be kind of useful against, basically anything if you're trying to get regular critical damage. So do keep that in mind. But stealth is still useful against bigger enemies as well because it gives you the option to engage and disengage them at will, giving you time to either regroup, run away, refocus yourself, craft things. All of these things are very effective. You can kind of get away using the slide tactic I talked about earlier. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I found out another little group of enemies, and I'm going to test out some of these tactics I went over with you on them. A bit of a more mixed lot. You got some light enemies, got some big-ass enemies. But I also wanted, before I get started, let's go over some gear tips real quick. When it comes to gear, you want the highest stealth modifier possible, and fuck everything else. This is going to allow you to break line of sight with your enemies very easily using those dash techniques that I used earlier. Hopefully I'll be able to demonstrate it. You know what, I'm probably not going to go for raw damage on the bigger enemy. I'm going to get a hit in, and I'm going to show you how effective it is to hit him, get out, regroup, and do another attack with these modifiers on. I've hand tested them myself. They definitely work. The higher your stealth modifier is, it says the more silent you are, which I kind of don't agree with. I think there's a generalized threshold for how close you can sprint up to an enemy before they detect you. Maybe it's slightly more or less generous, but it's a very small modifier. But the big modifier is your overall visibility, especially at distances. This is going to allow you to sprint towards enemies while other distant enemies can't even see you while you're standing up sprinting. So it's nice to have the highest stealth modifier. No modification that you add is really going to make a significant difference when you're taking certain types of damage, especially on very hard mode. So that's why I advocate using your modifications towards stealth. So that's just my little snidbit tip of advice for you as well. I think the Silent Nora Heavy is the best stealth outfit you can get in the game, though I might not be all the way through the game yet, so take that with a grain of salt. So, let's do some combat. So we have our first group of enemies very close to me. There's no reason I can't stealth kill them. Of course, I choke the stealth kill. So I aggravate them. I'm going to break line of sight right here. Get the little guy to come to me. He can't see a damn thing because bushes are OP as fuck. Gonna get the stealth kill on him. He's gonna turn his back. The stealth kills are sneaky as fuck. Now, I'm gonna see if I can get in on this guy. And as you can see, I slid right past his line of sight, got the stab in. Now I'm gonna try to break his line of sight again using similar tactics. As you see, he can't see me. Gonna hit him again. For some reason, the execution does not come out. Let's break away from him then. So I'm gonna keep doing that slide because it's considered a hidden action, and as you can see, he's lost sight of me. I can now run back in, get another stealth stab in, and ring around the rosy until he's necessarily dead. So I'm using no equipment to deal with a heavier enemy right now. That's what you're seeing unfold on the screen. Granted, my spear did get an upgrade from a side quest. I've only done one of them. Maybe there's another one to upgrade the spear again. But I can confidently destroy this enemy just by abusing his line of sight. The best place for stealth to take place, guys, is definitely open world because of those plants. As you can see, my stealth modifier is so high that even though he looked point blank at me, he still didn't get a full detection off. I don't know why that didn't work, but hey. Alright, let's get another stealth stab in. This is literally just to illustrate to you guys how stealth it kind of works in this game and why you should have the highest modifiers possible over all other upgrades. You know what? We're gonna stay here until I kill this thing using nothing but spear pokes. Alright. Dash in. Get another poke off. Run away. Slide into a bush. Can't see me. You're starting to see my point of how ridiculous this modifier can be and how effective it can be even at lower levels. Alright, I'm gonna finish him off. There's no point in prolonging this fight. Alright. So guys, I think that's about it. Just to go over the tips again really quick before I get out of here. When you're doing movement, the best way to move into stealth kills is to slide in right before you reach a certain threshold of detection. If you sprint too close to your enemy, guys, you're going to be discovered. I know I didn't illustrate that very well in this video, but keep in mind it's a very generous distance. The closest you can remain undetected while sprinting is shown off very well in this video right here. Let's see. Quiet sprint. You see that that's about the distance threshold that you can get. If she moves any closer to that enemy, that would get, alert the enemy, though you usually can perform a stealth takedown before that would happen. I just think sliding in is a faster way to get things done. Additionally, like, you saw the ludicrous nature of stealth modifiers, right? So I don't think I need to reiterate that point. And finally, guys, when you are running away from enemies and you're trying to break line of sight, the best thing to do is to spam these two movements over and over and over again and try to put something between you and it, whether it's a bush, whether it's just a solid tree, whether it's anything else, and you'll be able to get in and out of combat at will. So guys, this is Violent Games. I'm going to be pissing woof. Let me know if you learned anything. Maybe I didn't structure this video well enough for you. I'm not a full-time YouTuber, so I do have to take time out of my life to get things done. But I appreciate people who stop by. Again, let me know if you learned anything, if it helped you in the game, if it made you better. You know, just generalized comments. This is Violent Games, pissing woof.